it's been nearly 10 years now of the CSR law. And in any marriage, by the time you hit 10 years, there is a certain level of, stability. You are moving on to, building things together for the family, for the household, and also looking forward to what the future will hold. And I think CSR in India is somewhere, in that phase. So 10 years is a good time to take stock. And, many companies have had a history of doing CSR. I mean, our first interventions in L&T were about 40 years back in health. And for many of us, it was an opportunity to do more and to do it in a very systematic and a strategic manner, like Harshvardhan said, For many others, it was a discovery of another avenue, initially willy-nilly, to try and understand how the sector works, to invest. And then over a period of time, we've seen that everyone has realized that it's a fantastic opportunity to give back to the community and yet at the same time also enrich yourselves. Now, when it comes to community development, the biggest stakeholder in that area is of course the people, and the biggest enabler is the government. There is no way in which, all that we do through CSR could ever, go beyond what the government is able to do for the community. So I think one needs to understand that and also leverage whatever investments that are taking place in CSR to further the agenda for development in the country. So I think most of us have realized that there's no point in reinventing the wheel. If the government is doing something well, there's no point in redoing that. But how we can invest or even enable or facilitate that to give better results. A lot of new models have evolved in the last 10 years, a lot of learnings from that as well. And going further, I think what is also a determinant is the fact that there are more and more newer funding models, And like in a marriage, I think even the development sector, the NGOs have also evolved in the last 10 years. And this has been a period of understanding, building that kind of dialogue and understanding between the corporate and the NGO sector. But I think one of the most important things that has happened is the fact that CSR is now on boardroom agendas, So the kind of talent, the kind of deliberations that would go into a business strategy, and that is also benefiting the development sector, because you have some of the brightest mind devoting that kind of time to what is happening in communities, how this money is getting invested there, what kind of impacts it is generating, and how they can kind of multiply these impacts. So I think that has been a very, very fantastic contribution, and this will only grow because increasingly I see boards becoming more and more interested in these activities. The second thing is also the evolving of a very stronger mechanisms to measure impact. Now that is a two-edged weapon, double-edged sword, because we know that development cannot take place overnight. These are processes which take a period of time. When you put that against, targets and indicators and all that, that maybe, there has to be that understanding that needs to be developed. And over a period of time, I think there is that understanding coming in. I think many of us have realized that they understand what they need the best. And all that you can do is to just enable that process and bring your own skills to the table. And communities are very well empowered to kind of take that forward. Money is just one of the things, There's a lot of value that corporates bring to the table, especially in terms of talent, in terms of thought processes, strategy. And one can't really put, an amount to that. Initially, when the Act came in, the whole thought process was that, companies would decide how much they want to spend, and it was left at desirable to be 2%. Then it became mandated.
Yeah.
And the thought process was that the market would decide, on the whole, on the company, on its brand, on its reputation, and how it performed. And the market would reward. I think mandating it at 2% is a good enough start point. What we now need to put our energies on is how it is getting deployed, what are their impacts, and also leveraging this in the correct manner.